Welcome, beautiful humans, to another episode. It's your host here, Annalena, and today you get to enjoy an amazing solo episode about a topic that I honestly feel a little bit scared to talk about because it really gets me out of my comfort zone. But it's such a deep realization that I have been having recently that I just have this very strong inner calling that I have to talk about it. And no matter if I feel resistance or not, it's just like I have to talk about it. So it has to do with God. It has to do with, yeah, there's something greater there, which we also call source universe oftentimes. And if you have been following my work with human design and gene keys, I talk a lot about source universe all the time. But I feel that I personally was missing something because even though I was using the terms for myself, I have noticed that there was still a part of me that felt separated from God, source, universe in some way. And I want to tell you a little bit about how I grew up with this topic to give you a little bit of a backstory. So, when I was a young girl, I have actually three beautiful sisters. And I remember growing up, religion and God was just not a topic much in my family. Actually, both of my parents, when I was young, they I think they had left church, both of them. So there really wasn't any education. I wasn't baptized. And later on, actually, my mom, she started to dive into some religious things. And we did get a little bit of education here and there, but it didn't feel right. I think my mom was also searching for something at the time herself. And later on, actually, my mom became Catholic herself. So I think she got baptized again. And then my youngest sister, she was the only one in my family with my sisters that actually got baptized, but myself and my other two sisters, we were never baptized. So, and I have really seen my mom thrive in that, and something just started to flourish within her. And I have to be honest, also, I was a little bit judgmental of it because of what I learned growing up, and it wasn't really much there. It was more like religion is like a bad thing, and I also always felt anytime when I was confronted with the concept of God or religion or any book was handed to me, it brought up a lot of fear in me. I always felt, oh, I did something wrong. I'm going to be punished. I'm a sinner. So that often came up for me. And so I think I just avoided that for a really long time. And it took me many, many years to actually find my way back to it. And I honestly feel that for me, it had to be human design and the gene keys to find my access to God, to source, to universe. And I'll tell you, one specific gate in the human design chart or a specific gene key really opened up this beautiful awareness for me, which is the 40th gene key. And we talk here about the concept of divine will. And so divine will is this concept where it's not about what the mind wants, right? Because we always have this kind of version of success or what we should be doing or how success should look like for us. And so we kind of follow what everybody else is saying and we hustle and grind. And this concept of divine will really resonated with me so deeply when I first read about it, because it was this idea that no, there is a plan for you. You have a certain path. And your unique human design blueprint and also your Gene Keys profile, they are kind of your access point to bring you onto this path, right? And with this divine will, it was literally like, if I'm allowing what God wants to send through me so I can live out or fulfill the purpose that He has for me, right? Which is really putting my ego to the side. And, for me, that really means that I trust my body, I trust my heart over my mind. And that's really the big message that I learned through human design, thankfully, that the mind is not here to figure things out and to make decisions. meaning, my mind is not here to define what is my version of success. And this also has helped me realize that it has never felt right for me to set these rigid goals where it's like, you need to know what you want and go for it and make it happen. And I always had to explain to people, setting goals is not a wrong thing from my experience, but when it's forced, when it comes from the mind, because people tell me I need to have goals or I need to know what I want, that's a wrong approach for me. What feels right to me is that as I go about and I live my life, most often when I'm not looking for it, there is this desire, but it comes, or this goal that emerges from my heart space, from my body. And the way that I understand this today, this is really God talking to me and letting me know, this is what I want you to work on. This is what I want you to co-create with me. Because in a way, I understand now that I'm an extension of God, and everything is perfect in its way, even though oftentimes I think we don't understand certain things, especially when we have like hardship and we have a lot of struggles and challenges happening in our life. And I can say now in hindsight that a lot of the struggles I have been going through was to bring me closer to God, to realize, no, you're not alone. I just need you to realize that there is a bigger plan for you. And it's up to me. And oftentimes we need this kind of wake up call and shaking things up to like, okay, that I actually surrender into this calling. And I mean, this is also all these concepts I have learned from so many of my podcast guests and in human design and gene keys and spiritual teachings, like the concept of surrender. And, but again, I had to really bring this puzzle piece together for me, like surrendering really means to, let go of the ego, which is kind of this very narrow-minded way of trying to be smarter than God and trying to, think my way through of what my path is supposed to be, which comes so much from our conditioning, from our insecurities, our need to create this illusion of safety and belonging and all of this, right? And I think in a way we have to go through that. And now I have just started to realize more and more that no, the more I trust whatever my heart wants, what my body wants, and this is now, okay, this is my human design authority. So in my case, I would call it my sacral authority, right? Because I'm a generator type in human design. And I have also learned over the years that it's not just one way how it feels, but it always comes from the body. Any and all of the human design authorities, when you follow that, for all of the types, it really means don't make those decisions based on what your mind thinks you have to do or what other people are trying to tell you you should do, but come from this inner knowing that you feel in your body, in your heart, in your core, in your being. And these are oftentimes things that absolutely make no sense and they're scary. Like I'm recording this podcast episode here right now. As I'm talking, I'm still thinking like, well, I should just delete this and maybe I'm going to do it another time. And what are people going to be confused or upset or I don't know, because I have to be honest that for the longest time, I felt some judgment when it came to religion or the concept of God because I was so confused by it. And because I know how I felt, I also now feel like, oh, there may be people out there that felt how I felt years ago. So this message may not land, but that's okay, right? I have really learned also, again, through human design and the Gene Keys teachings that I'm not here to please everyone. I'm not here to um, make everybody understand me, right? This is my unique journey. This is my unique message, right? And there's even a part of me that's like, oh, what if my family or my friends are not going to agree with that? That's okay. I have to trust what feels right to me. And I want to also mention a little thing, which is funny. So I have this little device. It's called a Healy. It's a little microcurrent frequency device, basically, that connects to your energy field or the quantum field. And there is one little tool or like a little app that scans like certain areas in your life, kind of where you're at. It's like the wheel of life we often learn in life coaching. And it gives you like, okay, here we have spirituality, here we have your career, here we have personal relationships and all these things, right? And anytime I have run this over the last year or so, I noticed that there was one specific area which was always very low for me, and it was spirituality. And I was like, how come? I mean, I'm doing all these teachings with human design and gene keys, like this cannot be. So I was like, but it kept coming up like again and again. And I was like, okay, something must be there. And so I started to ask, okay, how can I be more spiritually connected? Like, what am I missing? And while I had understood in my mind, conceptually, also through human design and the gene keys, right, what it means like to live out your purpose through trusting yourself, right? But I was missing this piece that when I'm saying I'm living my purpose, it's not like my purpose, it's more God's purpose for me that I get to carry out with him, or with this beautiful force of unconditional love. And that I'm also not being judged, right? That I'm a human, and I think God knows that I'm a human. And I think all the things we go through where we drift off and we fall into the ideas of the ego and what it thinks it should do, right? It's all part of everything. And I can just tell you that this is a journey I'm embarking on, and it's always, I think, going to be a work in progress. And I really deeply feel that it was, or it is for me, human design and the gene keys that has really opened this up to me, that has made this really accessible for me. And especially the part of human design where it actually fell into the opposite. I had to experience, in human design, we have these 5 types, and we oftentimes see, or this is what I have experienced from my perception, that people actually feel separated. They're like, oh, I'm this type, or you're this type, and one type is better than the other, or I cannot do this because I'm this type. So it's actually very limiting in some way, often to people. And I started to realize that is actually bringing up a lot of our human shadows in some way, right? Our kind of lower consciousness, because I was always like, no, but we are all equal. And every human design type has a part of all the other types as well. And we are almost like a blend of all these, which I rather call today archetypes in some way. And I always came back to this one simple message. Well, human design really is just here to teach us that the mind is not here to make decisions. It's not about what the ego wants. It's about dropping into your heart. It's about dropping into your body and following that inner knowing. That's really the one big message of human design, if I want to distill it into a very simple phrase. It's not that complex, right? And this is exactly the message that I now feel with, okay, God is here to get a very specific message out into the world through me. I'm like a vessel for this purpose. And I get to decide if I want to kind of trump my own horn and do what I think I should do and go for this kind of material success that we often get bombarded with in advertising left and right. And I have just tasted it and tried it so many times, and I have come to a place of like, it's not for me. It's just not for me, this version of success. And I still have to be careful with this, right? I still notice sometimes when I watch certain content, if it's on the radio, if it's on YouTube, if it's on social media platforms, there's still this kind of like, it's almost like seductive in some way, like, oh, but you should do this to make X amount of money and da 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 da, or this to go viral, right? These are kind of all these external things we think we need to be happy. And while all of these things like making money and is all really, really important, and I love to do it, I still have to realize that I have to put first, like, what am I here for? what is that plan for me? What is that purpose? So I can actually be helpful. I can be useful for the world. And it's a question that I'm living in. It's always, instead of like sitting down and trying to figure it out, it's more like, okay, the more I can relax through taking a deep breath, through taking a magic pause, and then actually asking a question to God. Okay, how can we be the most productive and helpful today? What's your plan for you, for me today? I mean, just saying that, I feel so much better, you know? And it also, I have noticed that when I surrender into this way of being, where I let this divine will flow through me, I notice all these synchronicities happening. I feel so much more calm and peace in my body. I feel this effortlessness. I talk a lot about this. And this is actually also in this 40th Gene Key. It talks about effortlessness. And effortlessness does not mean I'm not putting any kind of effort into things. What it means instead is that I'm not putting unnecessary effort into it. And I really believe that when I am following what my mind thinks I have to do, right? When I'm more chasing the external version or what we think success should look like in the world, which, when we get the success, quote unquote, we still feel super unfulfilled and frustrated. And it's like that. I think that's why many, many hyper successful people on paper are actually so unhappy deep within themselves, right? And I think there's today many, many books actually that have been written on it, and lots of research has been done where just people, once they have checked off the boxes, there's like, okay, I'm missing something, right? So again, when I'm on this path of chasing success, there's always this emptiness that I personally feel. And a certain sense of frustration. And I feel like, yeah, I'm working really hard, but it almost feels like there's something trying to push me back because I have to put so much effort, almost like force into things. That to me now, it's just like God gently, like, hey, like, no, like, let's just redirect you. That's not where I want you to be. So there are often these unnecessary challenges and struggles we go through in life because we're so stuck in the head. We're so stuck in trying to think our way through and trying to be smarter. And then on the flip side, like I already said, when I let go of this mental version of success that is often forced, which is also now I can talk about all these other gene keys, like that's the 34th gene key. The shadow is force, but the gift is strength, because when I take action from this place of alignment, and alignment to me is when I'm aligned with God's plan for me, right? Then there is this pure strength and effortlessness flowing out of me where, you are so productive, you get all these things done, but you don't feel drained and frustrated. Rather, you feel lit up and actually more energized because it's like you are co-creating with God and you are creating more life force energy through that. And this is exactly what we talk about in human design about the sacral center, where when you do what is meant for you to take action on, it actually gives you energy. That's why you see so many wisdom quotes out there, like follow your energy. When you do what gives you energy, that's God talking to you. Like, this is where I want you to be, right? So I think that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I literally didn't take any notes or any bullet points. I just had this deep inner urge to talk about this because, yeah, I just feel this truth within me that, human design and gene keys, why they bring all these beautiful modalities together, and they bring spirituality and actually science together, which I also love so much because I love science and I love math and logic at the same time. I just feel that the whole concept and the messages that we learn through God and the Bible and everything, they are also to be found in those tools like human design and gene keys. And this is why I'm so thankful that God sent these tools to us, because it was like, well, some people just don't resonate with the traditional way of, how religion and is taught in the world. So let's bring these amazing tools like Gene Keys and human design into the world, so also other people like me can access what it really means to be truly connected with the energy of God, and how you are an extension of that energy, and how you're here to carry out a specific purpose. And when we can just surrender that, then yeah, we can just help so many more people in the world, and we have a much more joyful and effortless experience. So I hope this message serves you. I would absolutely love to hear what your thoughts are. Where are you at there on your journey? Have you made that connection with God? Maybe you have done it already like a long time ago, but for me, it's just something that feels so profound. And I just feel like I want to talk more about it, because it really, it just brings everything together and makes everything so much more simple. Because I think so many people are just so confused, because there's this and there's that, and there's this modality, and then there's this tool, and we can kind of feel like all over the place. And I already love how human design and Gene Keys have kind of synthesized so many of these other different kind of tools into one. And I think now bringing it together with the principles of God is just, yeah, that's just pure simplicity to me, and just makes perfect sense, and makes me like really want to fully relax more into my body. With that, I want to leave you for today. Maybe you want to ponder on this a little bit. And always remember, like, it's really what resonates with you. What is your truth, right? This is just me, Annalena, speaking what's on my heart. And one of my really big values is also like, we all have different truth. It may not feel like that for you, it may be different, and that's totally okay as well. Like, we are all on our unique journeys. And there's also something with divine timing. Like, I couldn't have spoken like this 5 years ago. Like, I still needed to go through certain experiences, and also learn what doesn't work for me, to finally get to this place of like, oh, this just all makes sense, and this all comes together. With that, I want to thank you as always for your precious time, and thank you for listening. And I'm super delighted to be with you all on the next episode. Bye, everyone.